morning. My name is Scott Lawrence. I'm the student pastor here at Ridge Church, and so glad that all of you are here with us this morning as we're going to be wrapping up our series. Like Pastor Tripp said, we're wrapping up Bridges, Bends, and Barriers, and then also today we're going to be honoring our seniors who are graduating high school. And so we're excited that all of you are here, all of your families, and just really excited to share this moment with you. The series worked out perfect, like Pastor Tripp said, because we're talking about different seasons, different transitions in life, and how to handle those. And I don't know if there's many more transitions in life that are as big or potentially as difficult as transitioning from high school to college or to the workforce. And the question that we've been asking all throughout this series is this. We've been asking, what should we be doing now in order to prepare for what's next? And Pastor Tripp has done a great job leading us in this series. I would encourage you, if you haven't heard the first 4 weeks of this, that you would go back and look. It's been awesome. You can catch that online, like it said on the announcements at ridgechurch.com, where you can listen to the podcast. But today we're going to be shifting gears a little bit because what I'm going to be saying, a lot of it is going to be addressed towards these seniors that are graduating. And then also, don't check out on me, adults, because a lot of it's going to be addressed to you as well. And so it's going to be a little bit back and forth. So I hope that you just stay with me, because I believe that today is going to be a good day. Because a day like today has been 18 years in the making, hasn't it, parents? I mean, it really has. It's been 18 years worth of time, effort, and money that has gone into making sure that your kids get to this point in their life. And if you have kids at any age, at any stage, you know that this is true. Me and my wife, Kirsten, we have 3 children. We have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And we are well aware of how much time, effort, and money it goes into raising children. And we don't even have 18 years combined between the 3 of them, right? But what we know is that all this time, all this effort, all this money, what it really is it's investment, isn't it? It's investment. You're investing into your kids. And I believe this, that we would all say that investing into our children, it's well worth it. I believe that we would all say that. And if it's well worth it, then I think this is a question we need to ask today. How can yesterday's investments continue to pay off tomorrow? How can the investments that have been made in these seniors who are about to graduate life for the last 18 years pay off tomorrow and as they go into college? Because I don't know if you realize this or not, but everything that's been poured into them for the last 18 years, right now at this moment, it's hanging in the balance. It's at its most volatile point, because in the next few weeks, in the next few months, they're going to experience freedom in a way that they've never experienced freedom before. They're not going to have curfews. They're not going to have mom and dad checking in on them all the time, making sure they're doing homework, making sure they're not hanging around the wrong crowd. They're going to be adults, like it or not, whether they like it or not, whether we like it or not. That's just going to be how it is. And so everything that's been invested in them is hanging in the balance. And I say that because there's some statistics that really back this up. Fuller Youth Institute tells us this, that 50 to 60% of students will leave their faith in college. 50 to 60%. And I know that sounds jarring. What's even more jarring is the fact that some institutes would say that number is really conservative, that it's closer to 70%. But for the sake of our conversation today, let's just say that it is 50%. So what does that mean for us? Well, we're honoring 6 seniors today who are graduating and going on to the next stage in life. And that would mean that statistically, 3 of those 6 are going to walk away from their faith sometime in the next 4 years. I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with that. Right now, as we're sitting in here, I don't know if you know this or not, right down this hall, we have our Ridge Kids ministry. And on average Sunday, about 50 kids participate in our Ridge Kids ministry. That means statistically, right now we're making investments, and then one day 25 of those kids are going to walk away, 25 of those 50 are going to walk away from their faith. And we're just not okay with that as a church. And I think initially we see this, and we see the 50 to 60%, and like I said, it jars us, it gets to us. But let's be honest, are we really that surprised? Because it's kind of the cultural norm now that kids are going to walk away, like college is the time of exploration, like it's when they get to sow the wild oats or whatever. We've all heard this, right? We've all heard this in church, a testimony, whatever, that I was raised by a Christian family, but then I went off to college. We've heard this. Maybe this is some of your story. For me, this is part of my story. Now, my blank there looks different because I didn't go off to college. I went to the workforce. I started a trade job after I graduated high school. But this year actually marks my 10th high school anniversary since I've graduated high school. I'm 28. I felt like I had to say that because I didn't fail. Like, I'm not older than I look. I know. I'm 28, but this year marks the 10th year since I graduated high school. And when I graduated high school, that summer, I continued to work the job I worked all throughout high school, working for my parents. And then when August came and all my friends went off to college, I got a job working as a machinist in a machine shop. And they kind of baited me in, saying, hey, you're going to be able to work as much as you want, make as much money as you want. What they really meant is we're going to ask you to work all the time, and you have to if you want to keep your job. So I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, every week. And yeah, the money was good, but I didn't have time for anything, especially church. Worked most Sundays. And so then I didn't have time for God either. And I was raised in a Christian family. I even went to a Christian high school. But it didn't stop me from struggling, and I was even the good kid. But I struggled. And I quickly became a product of my environment, very quickly. And I went from, being the typical high school student who maybe cusses every now and then. I couldn't have a conversation without using profanity. My temper got terrible. And I've always been the guy with the good attitude. I ended up having a very poor attitude, especially while I was at work. I just very quickly became a product of my environment. And I hate that happened, but luckily, I had a friend who he did go off to college, and instead of losing his faith when he went to college, he actually dug in even deeper. And through some things that God did in his life and some conversations that we had, God changed my life, and I praise God for that. I'm glad that God changed my life, and I know that it's for the better. And some of you might have stories similar to mine. Maybe sometime in the first 4 years after college, you walked away from your faith, kind of similar to me. You walked away at some point, but then you came back. And I don't know about you, but I've been asked before, would you change anything? Like, would you change anything? And I'm hard pressed to actually say that yes, I would change anything, because I like the way my life is now. God has used even my sins and the things in the past, He's used them to help other people. And so I wouldn't necessarily change anything, because those things have made me who I am today. But if I have the opportunity to help someone else not go down that same path, if I have the opportunity to help someone not make those bad decisions, and that was something that I wanted to be all about. And that's initially what drew me into student ministry. It is this idea of I wanted to help the next generation. I wanted to help the generation that was coming up behind me. And here's the thing, this is near and dear to my heart. This is personal for me. And so we as a church, we want to do this different than how churches have typically handled sending off seniors in the past. I think all too often in the past, this is what we've done as the church. We've just said goodbye. You see, graduating is a big deal, and it really should. It should be treated as such. It is a huge deal, and we should honor that, and we should be excited. But we say things like, you did it, and you made it, and really what it sounds like is like, okay, it's over, goodbye. Like that's kind of what it feels like. And then we send them off, and we expect them to adult well. And yet most of us aren't even very good at being adults. I mean, let's be honest. And then we sit back and we judge 18, 19, and 20-year-olds for not being very mature, for not making very wise decisions. And we say things like this, don't we? Well, those daggum millennials. That's just, I've heard that a million times. It's just those millennials. It's just the way they are. And the truth is, we almost expect that they're going to make mistakes. We almost expect that maybe they're going to walk away from their faith. But the problem is that we just assume they'll come back. I mean, I came back. That's what might be what you're thinking. Like, Pastor Scott, you came back. I came back. Like, they'll come back. It's okay. And what we miss is that there are thousands of students who leave their faith in college and they never make it back. They never make it back. And we're not okay with that at Ridge Church. We're not. And so we have a goal. We have a big goal that we've set for ourselves, a God-sized goal. This is the goal. We want to keep it 100. Y'all like my emoji? That's nice, isn't it? We want 100% of the students who call Ridge Church their home church to leave from here and carry the baton of faith into college and into adulthood. That's what we want. That's our goal. And we're not going to settle for anything less. That is really what we want. We want it to be 100%. We have some ideas on how to make this happen. And one of them is, we've done this. I said we've said goodbye, but instead of saying goodbye, we want to do this. We want to say hello. We want to say, hello, welcome to adulthood. How may I help you? Right? Like this is what we need to do. Because as we've established, most of us aren't very good at adulting, are we? Like, if you are, come see me afterwards. Like, I got questions, okay? Like, we need to extend a hand to the next generation. I mean, doesn't it make sense, especially when it comes to our faith? Isn't this who we're supposed to be as the church? That we're supposed to extend a hand to those who are coming up behind us to make sure that they keep the faith. It really is what we're supposed to be doing. And so here's the question. The question is this: what would it look like to help graduates say hello world instead of just goodbye? What would that look like for us as a church to do that? And so we've done some research, because there are some churches out there who are doing this and doing this well. And there are other resources, books and things. And one of the books that's a great resource is this book right here. It's called Sticky Faith. It's by Kara Powell and Chap Clark. And they wrote this book based off of a study that the Fuller Youth Institute did. They called it the College Transition Project. And what they did in this study was that they followed seniors from high school through college, and they were trying to figure out best practices on how to transition from high school to college to keep the faith all the way into adulthood. Lifelong faith and service. That's what this book was written about. And they had some very, honestly, interesting findings to me when I read them, things that just didn't dawn on me. And so we're going to go over a few of those, because I think that these will help us understand how we can better help these seniors as they graduate. The first one is this: that only 1 in 7 high school seniors reports feeling prepared to face the challenges of college life. I'm going to be honest, that shocked me a little bit. But can you blame them? Like, I think back, and I didn't feel prepared. Now, I didn't go to college, but in the first year and a half after I graduated, I started a career, got engaged, and bought a house. And I was terrified. You know? And only 1 in 7 feel prepared. We have 6 that we're recognizing today. So maybe 1 feels prepared. Maybe none of them. And I think we just assume that they're prepared because they got senioritis, right? Like, they're so done with high school. So we just assume that they're prepared, that they're ready. But we need to know that only 1 in 7 says that they feel prepared for the challenges of college. The second thing is this: that the first 2 weeks are critical. And what I mean by that is that the majority of students reported that the first 2 weeks that they were gone to college helped them decide whether they were going to continue their faith throughout the rest of college. The first 2 weeks decided the next 4 years for them. And think about it. Do you remember your first 2 weeks of college, or your first 2 weeks of your first real job? Like, you might remember the first day, but then it's like a blur after that, because it's a big transition. It's crazy. These students, they're going to be worried about getting to class and mapping out campus and extracurricular activities and friends. You know, when it comes Sunday, they're probably going to want to sleep in. They're probably, those first few weeks, might not be really into getting up early to go look for a church. They're probably not going to be making time to be in the Word every day. They might not even be praying. And we need to know this. We need to know that the first 2 weeks, they're critical. And then the third thing is this: that 5 adults is key. Having 5 adults in their life is key. What they found in this study was that, on average, the students who made it through college with their faith and into adulthood, the rest of their adult life, they had at least, on average, 5 key adults in their life who was pouring into them, who were praying for them, who were helping them during that transition. And here's the thing: that means it's more than just mom and daddy. That means it's got to be us as a church. It does. I mean, I think we understand this. You know, this idea of it's really like discipleship, right? We understand the idea of needing to help the next generation behind us. We see it all throughout Scripture. You know, we have examples of this everywhere, and one of the best examples of this is in the New Testament. It's these 2 guys. It's Paul and Timothy. And as I talk, as we get into this, I want you to be thinking in this mind frame. I want you to think of the adults in the room as Paul, and then the students in the room as Timothy. Just think that way as I set this up. Now, Paul meets Timothy on his travels spreading the gospel. He meets him in Lystra, and everybody has really good things to say about Timothy. Timothy's a young believer. Everybody has really great things to say about him. So Paul takes him under his wing. He cares for him. He brings him up in ministry. And so Paul's taking care of him, and we hear that, and we're like, oh yeah, good. Yeah, that's great. Timothy needed Paul, right? Like, and we would all agree with that. Timothy needed Paul. Every Timothy needs a Paul. But what we forget is that as much as Timothy needed Paul, Paul needed Timothy. Jesus called us to make disciples. And Paul was making a disciple of Timothy. Paul needed Timothy as much as Timothy needed Paul. And so Paul takes Timothy under his wing. He teaches him. He comes up in ministry, and then eventually they split ways. There's a transition. Timothy graduates, essentially. We know this because Paul writes some letters to Timothy. We call them books in the Bible. We call it 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy. But they're really just letters that the Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy. And so today we're going to be looking in 1 Timothy chapter 4. It's in verse 12. And young people love this verse. Like I've heard young people quote this verse a lot. This is what it says. It says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young." Like I've heard this, like, you can't look down on me because I'm young. Like we've heard this. Like people love to use it. Notice like there's a ... I don't hear a lot of people quote the rest of the verse. It's like, that was good enough. Like, don't judge me because I'm young. But like, there's more. There's actually a comma. This is what it says. It says, "But set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." Paul's telling Timothy, don't let them judge you because of your age, because you know what? You're going to set an example because I've taught you how to set an example. You see, Paul had taught Timothy. He taught him to be an example in speech and conduct, in love and faith and in purity. And he was reminding him of that. See, I think that we could all take a page out of Paul's playbook, because Paul realized this. Paul didn't stop leading Timothy because Timothy was gone. He didn't say, "Goodbye, Timothy. Good luck." He said hello. He wrote him. He encouraged him. He prayed for him. He was there for him. And here's the thing. We want to let you seniors know today that as a church, this is who we are going to be for you. It is. And so I have three things that I want to let you know today. Three things that are going to be true of us as a church when it comes to you and handling this transition. The first one is this. I want you to know that we are behind you. We are behind you. It doesn't matter if you've been at Ridge Church since the beginning or if you've been here for a day. You have history here. And we love you. And we care for you. And you will always have a place to call home here. Always. We are behind you. And we believe that when you know that someone's behind you, when you know that there are people in your corner, that you can face anything and you can do anything. And we want you to know that. And church, that's who we're going to be. That's who we're going to be. The second thing is this. We are with you. It's the great thing about technology, right? It's the gift and the curse. We're never really alone, are we? But the great thing is that it doesn't matter if you're going to a college here in state or if you're going to take a job halfway around the world. We are with you. We are a phone call away. You are never distant from us. And we mean that. You can lean on us. You can call us. Whatever you need, we will be there. We are with you. And then the third thing is this, that that we're for you. We are for you. We believe in you. We believe that you are going to go into college, that you are going to go into the workplace, and that you're going to carry the baton of faith. That you're going to walk the good walk all throughout college into the rest of your adult life. We believe that. And know this, that it doesn't matter what you do or what you don't do, what you say or what you don't say. We mean it when we say you always have a home here. We will always be for you. The doors of Ridge Church are always open to you. Figuratively, of course, because we meet in the high school. But I think y'all understand that. The doors of Ridge Church are always open to you. And so, like I said, we want you to know this. We want you to know we're behind you, we're with you, and we're for you. And so we have some gifts that we're going to present you with afterwards, but I just wanted to show them to you now. They're actually not in a brown Lifeway bag. They're in a much taller bag with gold glitter, and I was too short to reach in over it, so I had to get a shorter bag. But we got some stuff for you here. And the first one is this. We got you a key that says home on it that you can get cut to fit your mama's house if you want to. So you can drop off your laundry on the weekend, you know. But no, seriously, most of you probably already have a house key. If you want to cut this and use it, great. If not, I would love for you to just put it on your key ring and remember that you always have a place to call home. We know that you have a home at your house with your mom, your dad, your grandparents, or whoever, but you have a home here at Ridge Church. And we want you to know that. And so we wanted to give you that. Also, we wanted to give you a gift card so you could get some gas. You know, because there's going to be a chance that you're running low on gas for 1 week and you're not going to want to ask mama or daddy for gas for the 5th time. You know, you're not going to want to ask for any more money that week, and we don't want you to walk. So we thought about, you know, if you ran out of gas, you know, giving you a gas can too. That just didn't seem practical, so we just went with the card. And then this might be the most essential thing that we're giving you. It's ramen noodles, right? I mean, come on now. Everybody needs this. This is College Essentials 101. We wanted to give you ramen noodles for that night that the pizza place is closed and you ain't got no money and you're up late studying. Give you some ramen noodles. You know, you're going to need more of these. But then also, we wanted to give each one of you a Bible. And we know that most of you have a Bible. You probably have several. And that's okay. But there's 1,000 different books we could give you as you make this transition, but this is the best one we could think of. And so we hope that you would use this, that you would take notes in it, that you would highlight in it, that you would mark in it, whatever it is that you want to do. We hope that you would do this. And we hope that you would use it and that you would put it to good use. And then the last thing that we wanted to give you is a copy of My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. And it's the updated language, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't want it because you wouldn't be able to understand it. But what I love about this daily devotional is that it runs through the calendar year. So it's January 1st through December 31st. So it doesn't matter if you miss a day, a week, or 6 months. You can just flip to May 6th and you can read. And here's the thing. There's going to be times in this transition that things are going to be really difficult. There's going to be times where it's hard and you might be thinking, I haven't been in the Word and I want to get in the Word, but I don't even know where to start. This is a great place to start. And so we hope that you would use this as well. And so we just wanted to give you these things because we just wanted you to remember that we're behind you, that we're with you, and that we are for you. Now here's the thing. At the very beginning, I asked the question, how can we make sure that yesterday's investments are going to pay off tomorrow? And here's the answer to that question. Yesterday's investments will pay off tomorrow by being intentional. They're going to pay off by being intentional. And I know what you're sitting there thinking. You're sitting there thinking, well, Scott, how can we be intentional? I anticipated you thinking this. You were probably thinking this. How can you intentionally shape tomorrow? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because I have some answers on how you can do that. One of the best ways that you can do this is to simply pray for these seniors. And if you want to do that, you can email me. You can email scott@ridgechurch.com. You don't have to say I was at the senior. Just say hello. Just hello. I'll know what you mean. And I will give you a list of the names of these seniors that are graduating. You can put it in your Bible, on your desk, wherever, where you can pray for them on a regular basis. Because your prayers are going to go way further than you think they are, I promise you. They are going to need your prayers during this time of transition. And maybe some of you, you think you want to do more than that. Like, that sounds good, you'd like to do that, but maybe you want to be one of the 5 that goes with them. You want to invest even more. You want to invest further. You can email me and say this, that you want to be there for a student. And if you do that, what I'll do is I will pair you with a student and I'll give you their contact information. Like, it won't be weird, only ladies with the girls and only men with the guys. Like, it's going to be fine. Okay? Like, don't freak out on me. But I think it would be awesome if you chose to be one of the 5 that goes with them to make sure that they carry the baton of faith in college. And you might be thinking, like, that sounds great, but I have no idea how to do that. Good news, I have more suggestions. Okay? So these are ways that you can invest. You can invest by this, making a week 1 phone call. If the first 2 weeks are as critical as students say that they are, how much might it impact them if somebody from their church were to just call them and say, hey, this is so-and-so. I just wanted to let you know that I'm praying for you. We miss you. We love you. We are behind you. If you need anything, you just call me. I think that that could go really far. I think that that would be amazing. Now, don't forget to text them first, because if they don't know your number, they ain't answering it, okay? Like, don't be a creeper. Let them know who you are, okay? But here's the second thing you can do. Maybe you just want to send a care package with a note. You just want to send a care package with a note and maybe more ramen noodles, right? They might need some more. Maybe a roll of quarters so they can do their own laundry. But whatever that looks like, just send them a care package with a note of encouragement to just let them know that you are behind them, that you are there for them, that you're with them. What about this? You could do this. You could order them a pizza and have it delivered to them. let me tell you, I work with students, ain't one of them turning down free pizza. Like, I promise you, everybody's down for free pizza. And so you could order them pizza, have that delivered. You could do this. You could just decide that you're going to check in on them monthly. You can mark it on your calendar that you're just going to phone call, text message, social media, whatever. You're going to let them know each month that you're thinking about them, that you're praying for them. I think that that'd be incredible. Maybe you just want to text them every now and then. You could just send them a text message every now and then, just to check in on them, to let them know that you're there, that you love them, that you care about them. And then the last thought that I had was this: maybe you send them a letter with $20 and a verse. How many of you know, in a world filled of social media and text messages, that something like a personal letter sticks out like a sore thumb? I mean, you're really going to grab their attention if you do something like that, and just throw $20 in there and say, you know, this is for gas, food, not parties. Maybe throw that at the bottom right. And then just a verse of encouragement. Because here's the thing, church. I want you to hear this. Students, I want you to know this. I know I've said it once. I'm going to say it again. We want you to know these things. That we are behind you, that we are with you, that we are for you. And this is who we're going to be at Ridge Church. It just is. For these seniors, for the kids graduating a year from now, 5 years from now, 15 years from now, this is who we're going to be. And at this time, I'm going to have Pastor Tripp come up, and he's going to help close out today's message. Pastor Tripp.
Did anybody make themselves like eternally sick on ramen noodles in college? I was so excited that they were 6 for $1 back in the day that it was just like, well, I guess I can just eat as much as I want. And, you know, it didn't take long. And it was like, I never care about touching some ramen again, you know. But they are cheap food, and so it's good. Here's the, Pastor Scott, if you can't tell, really does care about our students. He actually wishes he had more time to invest. Unfortunately, he's like our production guy and our, you know, plumber and our everything guy, and does a little bit, and he gets ready for messages like this. And so, but he really does have a heart for your students, just like I know you do. And I know that all of us know these things to a degree. It's just a matter of whether or not we're going to apply them and be intentional. Intentional really is the key word, because there's a lot of things that we know and we believe and we understand, but we don't always do anything about it. And so that's really our heart today, is to spur you on to do what you know that we are called to do, that this isn't goodbye. This is really hello. This is, hey, welcome to our world. We are still here for you. We love you. And so kind of piggybacking on this idea, I wanted to share something else with you. And let me set it up this way. As a church, there are a lot of things that we do that are super important. And the older we get, and the you know, we're not quite even 5 years old yet, and the larger that we grow as that begins to happen, that you intentionally try to stay small and you try to stay simple, but it just always happens that things become kind of complex, you know? You start adding this and adding that program, and oh, well, we need to do this. And so things can real easily become very complex, and we can do a lot of really good things that are super important, but still somehow kind of miss what maybe is most important. And that's what we don't want to do. You see, like we take very seriously our Sunday morning worship experiences, creating a great experience for our guests. We like to have good music. We provide small groups. We take mission trips. We're partnered with different organizations in our community, with organizations globally. We're partnered with ARC, which is a church planting organization, planting healthy, life-giving churches all over the country, even around the world. And so we do all of these things, and they are super important things, and it's why we spend so much time doing those things. But I want to suggest that maybe there is something that oftentimes gets pushed sort of to the side a little bit, that maybe is even more important. Let me see what you think about this. The most important thing that we can do as a local church is invest in the next generation. The most important thing that we could do as a local church is, and here's why. Because if we won't be here if we don't do that. in a few years. Does that make sense? So if we want to continue to grow and to have influence and to have an impact on our community and the years to come, then we have to spend time intentionally investing, not just in our seniors who are graduating, but intentionally investing in those who are here now. And not just our children, but our families. We call it family ministry, not just kids ministry. We have Ridge kids, we have Ridge students, but really it's a family ministry because you're not just ministering to kids and students, you're also ministering to their parents because they're a part of this equation. We're only a small portion in what should be the spiritual development of a young person. And so we just want to come alongside and help parents do that. And so if this is the most important thing, and here's the thing, I think we would all agree with that. So the question isn't necessarily, do we think it's important? It's are we reflecting that that's important? And see, the disciples, Jesus' disciples kind of struggled with this as well. They had a hard time with this because they were doing busy, really good stuff, right? I mean, they were traveling around with Jesus, who was healing hundreds of people, and he was moonwalking on the water, he was doing some incredible things, and they were like, this is what it's about. This is ministry. We are ushering in the kingdom of God, and so we're doing really important work. But then there was different times where Jesus would sort of point out that y'all are a little self-absorbed right now. Y'all are sort of self-inclined. Y'all are only paying attention to yourself. You're forgetting what's going on around you, and there may be some more important things that you need to pay attention to. You may need a bit of an attitude adjustment. And so one particular instance, his disciples had just kind of dismissed a group of kids as being rather insignificant because they were kind of getting in the way of Jesus and his ministry, right? Is the way they felt. They thought they were doing the right thing. Well, Jesus said, y'all have lost priority here. Y'all are missing something. Here's an opportunity. And he made this statement that should sit well with us. This has the potential, the statement that Jesus makes has the potential to radically impact not just this church, but this community. And it's this thought. He said, whoever welcomes this child, and he actually physically took a child and put it in front of them. And he said, no, don't dismiss them. Whoever welcomes this child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. He's saying, kids matter. Kids matter. It matters. It's not just, in other words, the way that you treat the young people who are right around you is a reflection of the way that you treat me. The way that you love the kids around you. I mean, he's making this statement. And then he says, and those who have received kids have received me, and those who have received me have then received the Father as well. And so this is just him saying, look, kids really do matter. And I imagine if I sat down with each one of you, you'd shake your head and say, yes, absolutely, kids matter. As a church, as a congregation, we need to pay attention that kids do matter. Investing in the next generation, that matters. So that's not the question that I really want to ask you today is, what do you believe? Because we oftentimes believe a lot of things that we don't do anything about. So the question is, do we act like kids matter? And that's a personal question, but it's also a church-wide question. Do we, as a church, reflect the fact that we think kids matter by the things that we do? The way that we're structured, the way that we budget, the way that we prioritize, the way that we spend our time, the way that we staff positions, the way that we grow our volunteer base and get people excited about something. Do we think it's important in that realm? Because it's so often we kind of relegate, kids ministry kind of off in the corner and give them sort of subpar funding and, staffing and think, well, they're fine, they're not really learning anything, yet anyway. And when they get to be big people, then we'll kind of, and just imagine for a second, what if a parent waited until their child was an adult before they taught them to read? I mean, who would do that, right? Like, no. Even our government requires that children be in school. up to a certain age, and that they're there, and kids enroll them, and schools and teachers talk about how important it is, you know, that early that they're taught how to read and how to you know, tell their colors and their shapes. And I mean, it's amazing what my 6-year-old twins can do. They're brilliant. It's unbelievable. We don't wait to educate our kids when it comes to these things, but then when it comes to biblical principles, it's like we think, well, when they get older, then they'll understand more. What the adults are doing currently down the hall in our kids ministry, in Ridge Kids, is equally, if not more valuable and important than what we're doing right now in here. And yet this is where this is what we pay attention to. You know why? Because you can see change and results in adults faster than you can with kids. Because it's a gradual spiritual type of growth. And so you can't always see it. It's like, well, I've been volunteering in here for 2 months, and these kids, they don't even know my name. They're driving me crazy. Nothing's happening. It's like, well, no, this may take 2 years. They just want to know that you really are there, that you're consistent. They're not really paying attention to that fact, but they will pay attention to it later if it was there or if it wasn't. I mean, you know how this goes, and I imagine that we all would agree with that. It's like, yeah, I know. It matters, and we need to consider that. And that's why I want to make sure that we give you the information as a congregation of people to know what it is we do. Because we're not just kind of, throwing darts at the board here and just hoping, kind of closing our eyes and hoping we, hit the bullseye. We are very strategic in our approach. And we want to present that to you. We want to make sure that you understand that you have the tools and the information that you need to be able to talk about this stuff. And so I want to invite you to something we're going to do this afternoon. We're calling it a family ministry invitation. Again, it's not about kids ministry. It's not just student ministry. And it's not just adults. We're talking family ministry invitation is what we're calling it, because we want to invite you to be a part, to invest. If you believe, yes, we need to be investing in the next generation, then let's know how Ridge Church is doing that, how your church is participating in that. It's going to be 4:30 to 5:30, 1 hour. And if you know me, we will get started on time and we will end on time. That's going to be our goal. You want to hang out a little bit longer, that's fine, but just an hour is what I'm asking you for right back here. And here's the thing, there are not many things I insist that you do, but this is one of them. Because I think it's one of the most important things that we do. And if I think it's that important, and if you agree with me, hey, kids matter and they matter that much, and investing in the next generation matters, then I want to invite you to be a part of that. And we're going to lay out the vision. We're going to kind of express to you what it is we think, kind of what the bullseye is for us, because we actually do have an idea of what we would like to see from the moment a child is born and they go through baby dedication to the time that they sit here and are recognized as a graduating senior. We have a vision for what we would like to see happen. But then we also have a strategy to try to accomplish that we feel like God has laid on our hearts. And this isn't just kind of random. It's why we are very specific about what it is we do and don't do in kids ministry, because we know what the path is that we're trying to take. So this isn't just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, flying in the dark. We really know where we're going. But if you don't know what that looks like, then you can't fully invest. You can't invest in what you don't know anything about. Does that make sense? And you know that. And so I need all of us. You can't invite a friend in their family and talk about, well, how great the kids ministry is and how much your children are going to love being here if you don't really know that. Yeah, we have kids ministry. It's down this hallway, and I think they have a good time. That's not like, people want to know, what is it? Is this going to really help my kids? Is this going to be for me and for our family? Is this going to do something? And so you need to know what that looks like. And here's what I promise if you show up. And then I forgot to say this in the first service. Then we're going to have our hallways still set up the whole kids' hallway and all the classrooms. We're going to have it set up, and then we're going to walk you down there and show you how everything functions so that you have a real visual idea of what it really looks like to check a kid in and why we do it a certain way and we have a mother's room. Did you know that? We have a mother's room, like a cry room where, if we have it available. And we have different age divisions, and what they do is very specific in each class. And so we want to show you what that looks like. And so there'll be an opportunity to do that. And here's what I promise is not going to happen. I promise that I don't want to recruit you, guilt you, or coerce you. Because I don't want anybody who does not want to be there helping or serving with kids and students, right? That just doesn't do us any good. So I don't want to recruit based on need, which is where so many churches find themselves. It's like, guys, we really just have, 5 or 6 spots that we have got to fill. Could I please just for the next 3 months get a couple of you to just jump in? Could you do that? Could you just give me 3 months? And somebody goes, okay, I guess I'll do that, and then they go in there and they're miserable and the kids are miserable. I mean, who wants that? I don't. I would rather us, figure it out along the way. I think I can cast compelling vision so that you'll want to invest in that way. And there's a lot of different ways to invest. It could be just praying, but it could be serving specifically. So I'm not going to coerce you or guilt you or twist your arm into anything. I just simply want to invite you. I want to invite you to make an investment. I want to invite you to invest. If you think kids matter, and if you think that sticking with these graduating seniors and not saying goodbye, but saying hello to them and saying we're behind you, we're with you, we're for you, if you think that matters, then let's don't just stop at I believe that. Let's do something with what we believe. That's my encouragement. I really hope that you'll show up this afternoon. Even if you're here for the first time, you can show up. There's no signing up or anything. There's not going to be any child care. There's not going to be any food. It's nothing fancy. We literally just want to lay out our vision for family ministry so that you know how to be informed and you know how to invest as a congregation. I hope that you'll consider doing that this afternoon. And here's why. Because Jesus told us when you welcome a child, you welcome me. When you welcome a child, you welcome me. If you want to love me, Jesus says, love the kids who are in your midst. Invest in them. Can I pray for us?